kind of nervous to be here, but it's my first time doing this type of presentation. But I'm doing a presentation on ancient sites. So over the past decade, I traveled to 65 countries, and I've been looking for evidence of a lost civilization. So I have a few pictures I want to show you, and we can share stories and take it from there. I wrote something so. When we journey into the psychedelic world, we are given the privilege to stare briefly at the cosmic Gaian mind, the Entheon Gaia. This has allowed us to interpret the great ethereal ocean of consciousness, and our role is to define and create a type of model of this universal consciousness through art, rituals, self-expression, music, poetry, etc. When we are able to access the psychic network, I see ourselves as cells in communication with the divine cosmic attractor, sending and downloading messages back and forth, creating a type of network like a neuron communicating via synapses to other neurons, creating a language, making sense of time and space. The question is the Gaian mind in a state of stasis, hyperdream consciousness? Where does the psychedelic experience come from? This is where I believe the dreams, ideas, imagination all originate from the great cosmic attractor. Especially if you tune into the correct frequency using a psychedelic agent. You are then able to fully download codes from the Gaian mind, Anima Mundi, or the World Soul, as we synchronize and align with the divine axis of galactic core, the revival of the psychedelic giving rise to a new age of awakening, activated since the 70s. Since the beginning of recorded time, our ancestors have been collectively tuning in to the psychedelic ritualistic experience. Therefore, ideas, language, belief systems have all been able to spread through the psychedelic ritual across the entire globe. Even to this day, with the help of our psychedelic visionaries, we're able to map the divine mirage of this new golden age of awakening through art, music, and self-expression. All ancient civilizations share a mythical place of origin under different names such as Atlas, Zion, Alborz, Kaf, Meru, Aslan. Most of these ancient civilizations speak of a flood that destroyed their ancient city. We see this pattern across continents, bringing up the question, did once ago our ancestors live in an ancient lost city such as Atlantis or Lemuria, Agartha, or Shambhala? I think so. It's no coincidence that all ancient civilizations, separated by continents, have so much similarities in divine architectures. Unfortunately, most of our ancient history is being kept away from us, doing our social programming in universities, desynthesizing us from our ancient wisdom, slaving us in a vicious materialistic system, and if someone does not follow this system, is automatically labeled as an enemy of the state. It's time to awaken our human potential and embrace our true nature. The 26,000-year-old cycle is upon us, culminating in a new golden age of awakening. Our genetic alarm clock is buzzing. It's time to wake up. 11:11. The dormant engrams are awakened. A lot of data has been lost from the collective memory, but as we shift into the next chapter of cosmic evolution, our engrams will re-encode the old memories, accessing the Akashic Record Library, source of all unconscious memory of the entire universe. The educational system of the new world must be completely dissolved and reconstituted, relating to life, co-evolution, symbiotic decisions affecting all sentient life forms on this planet. How can we expect a change of consciousness if our children are taught to worship material ideologies, consumerism, capitalism, competitions, and ego-chemical pollution? What I propose is a hive-mind collective consciousness. No one is trying to steal your secrets because you don't have any secrets. Without fear is only love, and the whole hive is resonating to a high vibrational plane of existence. No poverty, no disease, no racism. What I mean is to conquer ourselves, inner transformation, or inner self, with them be converted into what we see and perceive as reality. The conquest of the 21st century is not global capitalism, or space exploration, or gene therapies, but the inner self-realization of our sacred divine bodies as the vehicles of unlimited spark consciousness. To operate your spaces is to be in control of this dream state. You are then able to lucid dream and have a complete access and control to your dimensional suit. Our parents are afraid to teach us the world soul and divine consciousness of the universe, because they are afraid to go against a system that is so perfect and unquestionable. Our teacher's job is to quote from this brainwashed system that only benefits those privileged or in the type of genetic order to access the core of the system. Our grandfather's wisdom is poisoned by pharmaceuticals and are kept in storage resting homes awaiting death. One thing the world new order has not been able to eradicate is our communion with the sacred psychedelic sacrament. They have tried to deny us entry into the natural world, the axis mundi. How dare have they courage to deny us our cultural and belief systems? The usage of psychedelics has been banned in most developed nations on planet Earth. The oldest religious animistic sacrament has been taken away from us, exchanged by a dollar bill, and not just the holy sacrament, but the ritual, the ceremony, the communion with the divine order, the oversoul of the planet. I demand a new world order of division of resources, a collective agreement with nations, free, clean, renewable energy, the protection of indigenous communities and their ancient belief systems, the complete annihilation of a mass cultivation of palm oil and destruction of natural resources, the patrimony of our planet. Once we surpass these obstacles, we will regain control of Mothership Earth and travel to other star systems, discovering our true self, co-creating reality by thought as our ancient ancestors from Lemuria once did, moving large stones using kinetic energy and advanced technologies to erect the magnificent ancient monuments we still can see today. We are remaking history as we shift into one of the most anticipated times in human history. Let this new chapter guide us towards this omega point and help us recalibrate our vibration towards a higher vibrational tone. Let those harmonic detergents do the job and cleanse our souls, shifting towards a new age of galactic consciousness. Excuse the bad English. So over the past of my travels, I wrote this book. I have a few pictures on the show. This archaeological site is called Comalcalco. It's in Mexico, and this is the only archaeological site that it was built using adobe bricks. They found about 4 years ago, they found one of the bricks inside of the pyramid. If you turn the brick backwards from the inside, it has a date, and this date happened to be December 21st, 2012. This is one of the recent discoveries, and it's one of the only actual written monument stones that have the end of the long calendar date. They also found a Masonic writing in one of these ancient monuments. Masonic writing from Europe. They found it in one of these bricks. They found figures of elephants and giraffes that are not native to the Americas. So, yeah, very interesting site. This is Hampi in India, and Pune. in Hampi, next one. Yeah. I found this type of, in the 1940s, the Nazis were looking for a type of weapon, and there's this the one on the right. It's this type. It's called the Diaglock, and it supposedly was a time traveling machine that the Nazis were trying to create using some type of ancient technology. And I found the same structure in Hampi, in this ancient site. It's kind of very similar, with the same similarity. So this is Ollantaytambo in Peru. This, yeah. Each one of these stones, it's about 300 tons. It's over 4,000 meters high, and it's impossible for how they were able to transport these large stones using. The ancient people on this land, they didn't use a wheel, they didn't use bronze tools, or supposedly they were cheap with using other stones. They're also carved with the exact precision of a quarter of an inch, so you can even slice a credit card inside this. So this is a Marcahuasi. Anyone heard of this? Marcahuasi is near Lima, so if any of you go down to Peru, don't forget to go there. Even on the brochure of Marcahuasi, there's a picture of a UFO. So it's definitely a really hot spot for UFO activity. And there is over about 500 different carved monuments that resemble different figures, different figures of carved faces and animals, and different structures. And supposedly they were carved by this race of people called the Masma, which were pre-Inca, way before Inca. And that's me with the guy that his father was the one that discovered this ancient site, and he was telling me of stories of how he was walking, and then these orbs of light will come down from the earth, and then they will transport them to different places. And one of these occasions, these balls of light, they took him to this cave, and he found this big statue of kind of a red devil, the Western type devil, and now he's been digging, and so there's definitely lots of paranormal activity here. As you can see, that the one on the right, that carving has about 13 sides, so you can see 13 different faces from each angle. And yeah, it's incredible. Like actually, most of the carvings are actually on the side of the cliff, so it was almost impossible how were they able to be carved from the cliff. I don't think they had some type of cranes or stuff like that. And, actually, like I was saying, they didn't use the wheel because the wheel represents the sun, and so if they use the wheel or the shape of the sun on the earth, this is a type of disrespect to the sun god. So they didn't use the wheel or any of this stuff. That's Sacsayhuaman. It's located near Cusco, and most of these stones, they're granite stones, very hard stones. They slide them all together, The archaeologists say that they were, as they came from the quarry, they chipped them there and they carved them as they came. But actually, you can see they build them in parallel. So like there could be like a wall, two separate walls, and then they're carved exactly the same way. And there's like exact precision of how they carved them, like parallel. So they didn't use just whatever they had there. They actually they had a plan to make it specifically this way. And there's like a really cute alpaca. Let's see. Yeah, like some of these rocks are over like 30 feet, so really really big. They're, like I was saying, they're over 4,000 meter high altitude. So nothing grows there. So there's theories how they were able to move these stones, supposedly using the rolling wood theory, like using trees and then roll them around. But it's there's nothing grows there, so it's like impossible. I think most of these ancient monuments they were designed and thought by some type of a lost civilization. As we can see, all the ancient sites they all have these similarities. Even their mythology it's always kind of the same concept, the same cosmology, like the dragon or the same creation story. It's always the same. It's like the flood. It's always the story of the flood. And the flood is like being evolved. Yeah, it's definitely they either were connected to a type of a Gaian mind consciousness, and perhaps using psychedelics they were able to exchange information from different places across the world, or they were in contact with some type of advanced civilization that perhaps helped them to erect these giant monuments. Some of these, it's impossible to carbon date stone, so no one really knows how old they are, because it's like we can't really tell. So, but what we see is, for example, on the right, that's a fragment of like a coral. So perhaps these monuments were once submerged underwater, but supposedly this was over perhaps 30,000 years ago. So on the one on the left, as you can see, it's like very, very intricate way of carving the stones. Like, why would they go through this trouble, like making it, for example, like the size of my hand, and the one next to it is a few tons. So very interesting type of technology. That even now with the current technology that we have today, we can't really replicate it. Even using diamond cut tools or lasers, we can't replicate this type of carvings or this type of technologies. This ancient site is called Pumapunku. It's near Tiwanaku, and it's like almost like 5,000 meter high. It's really really high. As you can see, there is evidence of really small, like millimeter carvings. Supposedly they carved this using other stones, so I don't really see how they were able to do that. This is one of the most mysterious, I think, sites in South America, Pumapunku. If you guys have a time to check it out. Also, at the end of this lecture, you can come to me and I can tell you how to get there, and give you some traveling tips. in Pumapunku there is these H blocks. Supposedly there is different theories of how those H blocks came to be. They're actually like the whole site is kind of, it looks like there was like a bomb that exploded there. Some people say that maybe some advanced extraterrestrial civilizations, when they came to Earth and they set up some type of base camp and using whatever rock was available there, and they corrected this stuff, and when they left they destroyed it. That's one of the theories. Anyways, these H blocks are, I've seen a few documentaries and I've read of different books about this, and we can't really replicate this type of blocks using the technologies that we have today. Also Pumapunku, it's supposedly it's older than Tiwanaku. At Tiwanaku, they found human remains that go back at least supposedly 10,000 years. So modern archaeology tells us that the oldest civilization was like Sumerian civilization that was like more than like 6,000 years ago. But these ancient sites go back more than 10,000 years ago. So it's, I think the establishment of the archaeology is trying to prevent us from knowing something, or they're hiding something. So I think these ancient sites, they hold the secrets of our past. So the governments and the corporations and the institutions don't want us to go back to these ancient sites. Even I think the UNESCO, the World Heritage Association thing, I don't think they really want us to come there and then practice the old ancient rituals that our ancestors once did. That's Tiwanaku. That's the Sun Gate. Does anyone know what the Sun Gate is? The Sun Gate was actually an observational, was like a calendar. So there's different structures, and over these structures, it will mark different seasons, like summer solstice and winter solstice. And here in Tiwanaku, we see the same technology as Pumapunku. These extremely intricate carvings. Some of these stones have evidence of what is called vitrification. And vitrification is when a rock is put under high extreme temperatures that it becomes crystallized. So even now with technology, we can't really crystallize stone. That's what I heard. So these ancient people, they were able to harness fire and keep it at extremely high temperatures, but no one really knows how they were built. It's a mystery. And yeah, that's the Sun Gate. Next. This is Ramomuru. Anyone heard? Okay. This site is located on the shores of Lake Titicaca, and the story is that Pachacutli was one of the priests, Inca priests, and he had the technology to travel to other dimensions. That's what the story is. And when the Spanish came, they were destroying everything and getting the gold and destroying like everything. So Pachacutli went with his team of priests, and the last time they saw him was when he entered this gate. The story says that he was able to hold a sun disk, and he used this sun disk as a type of a key to open this interdimensional doorway. And this whole site is like it's a mountain, so they actually carved the whole mountain to create this gateway. And till this day, the indigenous shamans and the locals, they go there and they make ceremonies, and they still kind of remember. but yeah, I think what's happened is that there was a type of like a collective amnesia that happened, and that's why we don't really remember like what happened to our ancient ancestors. But I think now these days it's a type of reawakening. We are remembering perhaps like where our origins are. So I think for me, my own personal quest, I traveled to these ancient sites because I felt a call. I felt I needed to go there and see it for myself and experience whatever the message was for me. And I think it's like it's happening for many of us. I think many of us like traveling and looking for these ancient mysteries. Yeah, in the Marumuru, this, I was interviewing the locals, and one of the locals told me that the story is that there were these crabs that actually. Oh, wait, let me tell you. So when I went there, I went with a few friends, and then when we got to the gateway, we saw 4 UFOs that came out of the lake. They were blue, and then we actually got it on tape. So if you want to contact me, I can send you the video. I have it. It's also on YouTube. I posted on YouTube. And so when I was interviewing this local guy, he told me that the story is that these crabs they came there and they carved those mountains using some type of lasers. That's what the locals say, the tradition. This is Badami Caves in India. I found some type of sacred geometry in all of these ancient sites. Mostly in India, there's a lot of sacred geometry, like the flower of life, and I found flower of life. Yeah, many types of sacred geometry there. I also found this doorway that actually we see this doorway in many ancient sites, like in Jordan. In India, we see this in Mexico. These doorways that, or in Peru, these doorways that lead to nowhere. It's just a door, but it kind of leads to nowhere. Perhaps these doorways were once activated by our ancestors, with, either technology or some type of kinetic energy, or I don't know. But if you go into this near the door, if you make like a om sound, the vibration keeps resonating for at least like 2 minutes. It's like really, really nice. So if you go there, like, try it. Yeah, that's a close up of this door. Like I was saying, they carved the whole mountain also. This Badami Caves, it's a whole mountain. So they actually literally carved the whole mountain. So I don't know how were they able to do that. Next. This is Rapa Nui in Easter Island in Chile, and same we see this the Moai, like they were supposedly they were used as a type of a calendar, and there's hundreds of these large totems, and there's similarities between these structures and the ones in Peru, Bolivia. So we see this interconnection of cultures between all over the world. I'm sure you guys already kind of heard about Easter Island, no? You guys know what's going on. Mysterious place. Next. Supposedly, Easter Island was what we call as Lemuria. Lemuria is because it was the lost continent of Mu. That's where Lemuria comes from Mu. Mu was the mythological place of origin of the people from the Pacific Islands. So Lemuria supposedly was once a continent that united like Tahiti, Hawaii, and Easter Island, perhaps some part of Peru, maybe in some parts of Australia. So, and there's legends that perhaps Lemuria sank, or maybe it lifted up. It was maybe a spacecraft or something like that. In in Easter Island, they found this this type of they found this language that it's similar to this. There's a ancient site in Pakistan called Mohenjo-daro, and they found this writing system from Mohenjo-daro in Easter Island. They found it in this vase, like a drinking vase, vasija. And then so again we see this interconnection of cultures. This is El Mirador. Anyone knows about El Mirador? No? Well, this is the world's biggest pyramid. It's located in the jungles of Guatemala. It's in this bioreserve. It's called Petén. It's in the state of Petén. And there's only two ways to get there. It's either flying by helicopter or walking for about 6 days. And every year I do this trek. It's really nice. I really recommend it. This is a complete virgin jungle. There's about 150 people that go there every year. The whole Mirador site is the size of LA, so it's extremely massive. And as you're walking there, it's like walking to a lost city. There's like giant pyramids and monuments. They built these things called the Sacbés. The Sacbés were these Mayan roads that were 10 meter high, and they stretch over hundreds of kilometers, uniting different Maya cities. So it's just incredible, this place. There's jaguars, there's all kinds of animals, and it's epic. Like I was saying, most people don't know, but this is actually the world's biggest pyramid by volume. It's about 75 meters high, I think. But it's when you actually get to the site of La Danta, that's the name of the pyramid, La Danta. El Mirador is the name of the complex. Supposedly it was built 4,000 years ago, but I think it goes back a few thousand years before that. No one really knows when it was built, what was I gonna say? Yeah, when I was there, I interviewed this guy who is the guy in charge of this archaeological thing. His name is Richard Hansen, and he's a Mormon. So the locals told me that this guy he's digging for he's looking for the golden tablets of the Mormon. And actually, if you Google like Maya Mormon something, something might come up. And the story is that the Mormons gave these golden tablets to the Maya, and their prophet John or whatever. And then he gave them these golden tablets, and supposedly if you can read this golden tablet, you're able to open the gates of heaven. And this guy actually believes that, and he's actually digging for this information. And so when I was there, I saw helicopters coming all the time, and I asked the locals like what was going on. They told me that these VIP people coming from the States, from Utah, the Mormons, and because they actually found the cave where these golden tablets are. Also, has anyone heard of the Popol Vuh? Popol Vuh? The Popol Vuh is the Mayan Bible. It was supposedly, archaeologists, people tell us that it was written during the time of the conquest. That's when the Spanish came. But because it has a lot of influences on kind of Christianity. It has the story of the flood, and it has Adam and Eve, and it's like very, very similar to Christianity. But actually, what the indigenous people, because if you practice the old religion, they will kill you. So the indigenous people just play it stupid, and they put the Popol Vuh behind Jesus, and then they prayed to Jesus, but for many generations they always knew that they were just praying to this book, this codex, the Popol Vuh. And about in the 1970s or something like that. That's when they actually took it out, and then what they say is that so when they opened the Popol Vuh, the archaeologist people said that that it was written because it was influenced by the Christianity and stuff like that. But when in El Mirador, they found the murals with the exact same tales of the Popol Vuh, which means that the Popol Vuh goes back at least 4,000 years, and it's amazing. If you go there, they dig like a cave, and then you see it's like extremely, maybe next photo. Yeah, it's like in the bottom you can see it's like super smooth. This carving is the whole story of the creation story when Balanjak go into the underworld in Xibalba, and then he fight the underworld gods, Putli and all these gods, and then he was able to get the bones, and then he got the bones, and then he came to Earth and created humanity. And this story is there, chipped on stone. Here we see like a Giza in Egypt, and we see the Pizza Hut logo. I think it's for me when I was there and I see it like a Domino's pizza, it like right outside of the door of this like holy site, was very sad, no? And this is a way of how their society, how they're programming us to desynthesizing us from these ancient holy sites, and it's like the bastardization of our grandfathers. So yeah, kind of fucked up. Yeah, if you travel to Peru, this is a very nice site. Next. It's like a lost city in the jungles. It's near. It's like on the way to Iquitos, and. So, there's stories that these people that live in this land, they were white-skinned people, and we see the same story also with the Quetzalcoatl. Supposedly, when the Spanish arrived, the indigenous people of Mexico, the Aztecs, they saw the Spanish and they thought it was the return of Quetzalcoatl, because supposedly Quetzalcoatl had a white skin and a mustache, and then looking like a white guy. So we see the same story here in this Cuela. They found these mummies that have European features. Also, they did some type of DNA test, and they found these mummies have like a type of European DNA. So it's mystery. Same the story for Viracocha, like the gods of Peru. They believe that Viracocha was also white, like with a big beard and white skin. And you can see actually a big monument for Viracocha in Tiwanaku. There's you can see he's standing there in one of the center plaza, and he has like a mustache and like a big mustache. And look, he doesn't look indigenous. Next. Karnak. Next. Here this ancient site of Karnak. Has anyone heard of it? No. It's Karnak is near Aswan, like near all this area. So there is this giant obelisk that they're over 100 feet tall and like over 400 tons. The question is, how were they able to actually get them to stand up? And there's some, I think some of these obelisks were a type of antennas where they were able to maybe
like download messages or connect with other stuff, or maybe were used as a type of energy. There is actually in this archaeological site, there's this hallways that are just so big, you know. It's like compared to all other ancient sites, it's like so big. This Mohenjo-daro in Pakistan. Mohenjo-daro is the birthplace of Hinduism. There is evidence of they found high levels of radiation on this archaeological site. They also found some writing system that was very similar to the one that was used in Easter Island. Again, we see this type of interconnection of communication between continents. Again, we see this another interpretation, supposedly, of Mohenjo-daro being one of the places where Lemuria was. There's different ideas where Lemuria was. Some people said it was in the Pacific Islands. Some people said it was where it's like Tamil Nadu, like in South India. That was like some people said it was in the Gulf of Cambat. Some people said it's near the coast of Yucatan and Cuba. Some say in Crete. So this is this base that they found that has this Sumerian writing, like cuneiform writing from Sumeria, that is extremely similar to the one used in Easter Island, and they found this in this archaeological site in Mohenjo-daro. This is Palenque. Anyone been to Palenque? No? Yeah. There's going to be a really good party on December 15th. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. My parents organized. Here we see Pakal's tomb. Pakal was the king of Palenque, and this is like the famous one. Perhaps you guys seen this before. This is you see Lord Pakal. He's kind of driving some type of spaceship. Supposedly he's on a position of a flight. He's got his feet pushing some type of accelerator. He's looking through some type of glass, like some type of viewfinder. He's got all these type of controls, like connected to his body, like some type of life support system, they said. So archaeologists, people tell us that this is a representation of Pakal going into heaven, and what we see in the bottom is the fire that's like that's like a close-up. That's like supposedly the fire from the spacecraft. This is Teotihuacan. When the Aztec people came to Teotihuacan, they didn't know who built it. They called it the city of the gods. Yes, Teotihuacan means the city of the gods. So when they arrived there, they didn't know who built it, and no one really knows who the Teotihuacano people were. There didn't leave any writing system. There's no history about these people. What they found actually is, in Mesoamerica, the Maya, the Aztec, the Toltec, Zapotec, Mixtec, all these indigenous tribes, they erected these monuments, these pyramids, on top of caves. For them, a cave was the door of the underworld. It was one of the most sacred sites. So actually, on this ancient site in Teotihuacan, this is the pyramid of the sun. they found traces of this type of element called like a silica, and this silica element is only found in Brazil, near Argentina. So the question is, how were they able to transport this material all the way from South America to central Mexico, to Tehuacan? That's Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl means feather serpent. Quetzal, it's a bird, and Coatl means snake. Recently, they found this for them, for the Aztec people, jade was and the Maya were jade was the most precious element. So when the Spanish arrived, they were looking for gold, but they didn't have any gold. They loved jade, not gold. So they just told them like, go south. Peru, no. In Peru, they love the gold. So, right? In Teotihuacan, is actually, if you see it from the top, there it makes the perfect makes a perfect diagram of the solar system. If you measure the distance from each monument to each monument, if you calculate by 365, it actually gives you the exact distance from each planet. So how were they able to know these technologies or this wisdom? I think either they were helped or they actually come from these places, or maybe they left these ancient monuments for us to decode, and now is the time that we actually paying attention to this. Remember, like Christianity destroyed all of these ancient cultures. For 500 years of slavery, people couldn't write couldn't write the language, couldn't write, and they couldn't speak, and they demolished all the gods. So now there is a renaissance in Mexico. That's where I'm from. People are like now going back to the ancient ways, and they're trying to learn how to write Maya, and they're speaking Nahuatl. So I think now it's like this time clock that has ticked in, and people are like kind of going back to the old roots. Let's see, there's Petra. Cuba. Next. In Petra, we see this like a doorways we saw before in Maramuru and all of these ancient sites. There are stories of how supposedly this place was built, but maybe either it was built by the stories, or maybe that's how the history is being influenced by someone. And so even in some of this history that we have, like all the history we have of the ancient people of Mexico was what the Spanish told us, what the Spanish wrote about. So even I think some of these codex that we have today, I think maybe they were made by them to manipulate the system and like the church, so they could come to the Americas and exploit. I think a lot of history was manipulated by these church people. And on Petra, there's over there. There's on the right. It's like a figure of some type of reptile. So I found lots of reptiles. I don't know what that means, but maybe someone could figure out. It's like lots of reptile beings all over this ancient site. I've seen these reptiles also in this place in Norway, it's called Vigeland Park. And all of this park, it has all these reptile figures, and it extremely resembles that. Again, we see like these doorways that lead to nowhere, and this also vitrification we see on this door. They were, like I was saying, they heat up the rock and it becomes so hot that it becomes crystallized. It's very smooth. Also, you can see it change color. Next. This is Leshan. It is the world's biggest Buddha now. The last one is the one that was destroyed by the Taliban, maybe, but maybe it was states or like I don't know. No one knows who destroyed it. But Leshan is now is the world's biggest Buddha, and then there's lots of UFO activity happening in this area. And I throw that there because I really recommend you guys check it out if you're in China. It's not so easy. It's not so hard to get there. So, and it's really, really like amazing, this place. They carved the whole mountain and made it into a giant Buddha. Also, if you go down to Bolivia, there's this place, Licancabur. It's near Uyuni. Anyone heard of Uyuni? Yeah, you been to Uyuni? I think this is one of the most incredible places on Earth. There's nothing there. It's like 5,000 meter high. Nothing grows there. It's like being on another planet. There's nothing, completely nothing, and you can get a tour, and then it's like a 5-day tour for about $150 for 5 days, and they take you all around, like near the border of Chile, and like really beautiful like lakes, and on the one on the bottom, it's a hot spring, so really nice. Oh, they also found some UFOs. Next. This in Tula. This was built by the Toltecs and Olmecs. Toltecs. This is one of the first people in the Americas, no? So this place is also really incredible. It's in the state of Hidalgo, near Mexico City. So if you fly down to Mexico City, it's very easy to get there. There is supposedly there's this they call them Atlantes, so it means like Atlanteans, and these Atlanteans were the gatekeepers of wisdom. They had this type of vests with some type of technology stuff attached to these suits. The one they have on the back, some type of oxygen tanks, maybe. That's what some people said. So also they have this type of tool, and this tool actually, we see this tool. Sorry, we can't really zoom in, but this tool is a mast that all ancient cultures also have this type of mast. This is like they have this wand or this mast. So yeah, maybe this was a type of key. Maybe it was a type of I don't know, some type of ancient technology that they used to use. Uyuni, really cool place. It's a salt lake, so it's a really high altitude, and it looks like you're in heaven, as you can see. And that's me. Next, I took some really nice photos with some friends from Japan. Next, that's my friend Annie holding a cigarette, and that's me on the tripod. So if you go there, it's like really cool place to take photos. Yeah, if you like to take photos, it's like really cool. I call it galactic fun. What else? Next. This I hold. This in India, but next. Yeah. This is some type of flower of life I found, but I didn't have another picture because actually I lost all my data recently. So I had to take photos from my book to show today. All my data was lost. Um, I got robbed by a taxi in Kuala Lumpur 4 months ago. So he took my laptop. So I lost all my good photos. But this is from the book. But it's some type of a sacred geometry. Also, wait, before you go that, I don't have a photo of this other. Maybe you saw on the book. There's one ancient site called Uyuni. I mean, sorry, Yunaguni. I don't know if you saw. So Yunaguni, it's located in near Okinawa in Japan, and it's like one of the farthest islands near Taiwan. And there's this pyramid that they found. They found it for like maybe about 15 years ago, and it's submerged on the water. Supposedly, when the sea level was this low, was about 20,000 years ago. But modern archaeology tells us that 20,000 years ago, people were like crawling in a cave. So some type of history is wrong. Yeah. Next. This site, Edfu, you can really see, but it has this kind of like we see in history and these ancient monuments, we see these type of gods that they look completely like monsters. Either these monsters were actually living among our ancestors, or maybe there were some type of genetically modified creatures that these space people or this lost civilization they had. Yeah, I think they were not just visions. I think they were, or interpretations. I think they actually walked among among the people. Next. Next. Yeah, I think that's it. You guys have questions? Where? Yeah, it's like around.
Yes,
Going around.
I was just wondering, is your book available like from where, like say, like
You can find the book on Amazon. Yeah. Yeah. It's called A Backpacker's Guide to Ancient and Mystical Sites. Yeah. So most people they think traveling is for rich people, but not really. So there's many ways of how you can do it. And like traveling these days, like with the cheap low-cost airlines like AirAsia, and there's many different ways. And I explain it on my book, like how I was able to kind of travel so much with like no budget. So yeah.
Did you say that, sorry to catch on it, but Lemurian, are they the origins of the Pacific people?
Yeah, supposedly Lemuria was the lost continent of Mu. So the tales of the people from Easter Island, they called Mu was the Lemuria, Mu Lemuria. So that's how we supposedly know that that's where Lemuria came from the Pacific Islands. But some people said Lemuria is located in India, in Tamil.
if you look on Google Maps, you can actually see under the ocean like the massive ridges, and there's a massive continent attached to New Zealand, just off the coast of Australia, that looks the same shape of South America. And I reckon it could be that.
Yeah, I think, somehow maybe all these ancient monuments like I was saying what I was saying today, they are a type of acupuncture for the earth. It's like a type of grid matrix consciousness that is like constantly keeping the earth on balance. So our ancient ancestors, maybe they came there and they erected these monuments there because they followed their instinct. They knew that was the place to do it. Or somehow intentionally there was a consciousness that told them to put it there. I don't know. That's like it's a mystery, no?
when you made that reference to Pizza Hut, are you familiar with Michael Tazarian's work where he talks about that, that there is this black cabal of magicians that are intentionally using logos and encoding sacred symbolism to drag our spirits down? Sorry. Too late. Did everyone hear that? No.
Okay, sorry guys. I'll just repeat again. I was just referring to the research of Michael Tazarian and how he talks about how there is a black cabal of magicians in the world that exploit sacred symbolism into corporate logos. And I was just asking Guillermo if he believed in that, because I really do, and I think it's something to really be aware of. Because if you're not aware of that, then unconsciously those symbols, like throughout every day in our society, they are affecting you on some level.
Yeah, I mean, hell yeah, they're like totally, they're totally, they're programming society, and that's their way of doing it. They're poisoning our food, they're brainwashing us through the media, through the institutions, through the educational system. So they, yeah, for sure, and they've been doing it since the beginning of time, I think. I thought about maybe there was a type of separation between these ancient people. They were like some kind of the good guys and the bad guys. Some people say that the good guys went underground, and maybe the people that stay here, they're the ones in power. That's why they have access to these technologies. I think that's why they're not able to pilot these UFOs, because they're not in synchronicity with this technology. They're not in the perfect harmony, so they can really control these spacecrafts. Like the government people, they can really drive these crafts, because you know what I mean. So I think there's lots of brainwashing. Other question?
I just wanted to ask you, Guillermo, if you know of any sacred ancient sites in Australia, apart from the more obvious ones that we are all aware of, like Uluru or something like that, that have tie back to ancient civilizations, that preceded us, and what do you know about Lemurians in Oz?
I don't know of any ancient sites, but definitely the caves. There's these cave paintings that go back at least, they say even 30,000 years ago. And again, we see I think this parallel story of perhaps some type of psychedelic experience that these people were able to see, and then we see this all across the world. In Africa, the same type of paintings around the same time. Mostly I've seen only about these caves with these ancient paintings or petroglyphs, stuff like that. But I don't know of any ancient sites. Someone told me that in Cape Tribulation, there is this guy told me, this Krishna guy, told me that his friend found one of the moais, like in the Easter Island, the big head statues. He found one in Cape Tribulation. So it'd be nice to check it out.
Guillermo, thank you very much.